Princess Diana is fondly remembered as the people's princess. The royal was the most photographed woman in the world and carries an enduring popularity that's lasted long after her death.
Best-selling author Wendy Holden has written her own imagining of Princess Diana's story for a deeply moving novel about her younger years. It's called The Princess, and we're pleased to say Wendy joins us live from Derbyshire, England. Wendy, good morning to you. Thank you for your time.
Hey, Wendy.
What drew you
Pleasure.
to...
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. What drew you to explore Diana's backstory?
Well, I love backstories. I like them better than front stories. And in the case of Diana, I wanted to write a novel about how she became Princess of Wales, what the actual individual stages were from her childhood, from her school days, to the moment she stepped out of the carriage at St. Paul's. Because even though she's a really, really famous woman, one of the most famous women who ever lived, this part of her life is relatively obscure, and I don't think people really know how it all happens. And I'm also really interested in elites and in secret societies, and the British royal family are just about the most secret society and the most elite going, and I wanted to find out how Diana had entered it and what the procedure was.
I mean, it is a fictional book, but I mean, how did you sort of reimagine this? How did you get into the weaving the facts of her life and then sort of imagine what was going on behind the scenes?
Well, I took the actual events, I dramatised the actual events and the actual people who were involved, but I had a really strong idea of how I wanted to tell the story, and the way I saw it was two really separate, sort of two really opposing forces that were very different. And one was the palace, which had a very pragmatic, very unemotional, very practical approach to finding a wife for the Prince of Wales. And then there was Diana, who had the exact opposite point of view. She was in love with love, she was starry-eyed, and she thought that Prince Charles was the embodiment of romantic bliss and she was going to have the most wonderful life with him. So those two contrasts were so extreme, they made the most perfect novel material.
So using your journalistic experience, you've researched her young life in depth. You've used a lot of tools there are to research such matters. You've also spoken to a lot of people about that time in her life. What did you uncover about her that perhaps most surprised you?
Well, I was really interested in her. One of the themes of The Princess is Diana's complete obsession with romantic novels, which is usually seen as sort of evidence that she was, a bit dim, but she was anything but dim. She was really bright, and she was also really, really imaginative. And the more I researched about her reading habits and her obsession with particularly the works of Barbara Cartland, who wrote about dashing dukes and magnificent marquises, I realised that it was possible that these stories formed her entire worldview, and they explained why she saw love and Prince Charles and in that way, and she really thought that he was going to rescue her and take her away to a life of absolute bliss. So that was possibly the most interesting thing. Although there was an amazing incident when she was being paparazzi first took an interest in her, and she spotted them in her handbag mirror as they crept up behind her through the woods of Balmoral, and was able to run away so they couldn't get a picture of her.
Amazing. Well, look, we really appreciate your time, Wendy, and if fans out there can grab a book, and grab it now. It's called The Princess. It's at all good book retailers. Thanks, Wendy.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?